Disney cruise cabins ranked, which one is actually worth your money? What do you really get or lose out on depending on which one you choose? Not all Disney cruise staterooms are created equal, so this ranking is based on real-world comfort, layout, noise, storage, and value for your money. But two things are going to change the whole calculation: how long you sail and where you sail. And a quick pricing note here: when you're comparing prices, look closely at the cost, because I have been surprised to find a balcony that's cheaper than an inside stateroom. That happens more often than you'd think when one category is full and another is wide open. And if you're new here, I've sailed as a single mom with family, and I've even gotten engaged on board. We've stayed in just about every type of stateroom on a Disney cruise ship, and the type of cabin you pick really does make a difference. Okay, so what are your cabin options on a Disney cruise? Let's start with the most budget-friendly, the inside stateroom. No window or porthole, no balcony, but often the best value, especially if you're not planning to spend time in your cabin. The smallest square footage you're going to find on the cruise ship is going to be the inside stateroom. These are going to start at 185 square feet on the smallest ships, and then they will be 204 square feet on the larger ships. And just for a little bit of perspective here real quick, their typical balcony veranda staterooms are about 300 square feet, so that's only an extra 100 square feet up to their largest category size. So these inside staterooms are actually a decent size. The inside stateroom is awesome. I mean, you're on a Disney cruise. It is the smallest selection. You're only going to want to put 2 or 3 people in this stateroom, but for small families or adults only, this can be a perfect option, especially if you're going to spend a lot of time outside of the stateroom. It's the most affordable. The inside stateroom configurations can vary. Some inside rooms are actually rectangular and a little bit easier to live in. Others are a little more oddly shaped because they are in that interior area. And the location of your cabin really matters with inside or any cabin really, especially if you have any concerns about motion sickness. Midship inside rooms are quieter. They're going to feel more stable than the forward or aft locations. Also, if you are a very light sleeper or really just need a dark room, an inside stateroom can be perfect for that. And fun fact, if the lack of a porthole is a big deal for you, some of the inside staterooms actually have magical portholes. This is a real-time animated ocean view, so you can still see what's going on out on the ocean even though you're in the interior of the ship. And pro tip here, if you are going to choose an inside stateroom but you want to have some balcony time, the deck 4 on Magic Wonder Dream and Fantasy has loungers on there. They're very rarely occupied. It is a beautiful spot to go sit and watch the ocean go by. Now, when do you want to choose an inside cabin? This is going to be best for your shorter sailings, if you're really on a budget, if you're gone most of the day. This is going to be the best cabin for you, especially for a 3 or 4 night cruise where you're going to be out at the ports all day. You're not even going to be in your cabin. You're literally only going to be in there to sleep. It could be a great option to just take that money and use it on port excursions, dining, or just keep it more of a budget trip by having a great inside stateroom and enjoying all the inclusions included on the ship. It really is best if you're only going to have 2 or 3 people in here, small families. One other big consideration with the inside cabin is most of them are not going to have the split bathroom. Disney Cruise Line has a split bathroom, which is really convenient. This configuration has the toilet and sink in one side, the shower tub and sink in the other side, so you can use both of them at once. Highly convenient when getting ready for dinner. The deluxe inside stateroom is the only one that's going to have this selection. One other consideration here is when you are jumping up into categories, say going from a deluxe inside stateroom to the basic Oceanview stateroom, that basic Oceanview stateroom might be cheaper than the deluxe inside stateroom. So take a look at it, make sure you know what you're getting and which features are most important to you. Next up, you have your Oceanview cabins. The Oceanview staterooms are going to start at approximately 215 square feet, so they are not much larger than the inside staterooms. They are a little bit larger, but not a lot. The big consideration with with the Oceanview Staterooms, of course, is going to be the porthole. And there is a difference. Some of them are going to have one small porthole, some will have two small portholes, and some will have a large one that you can actually sit in. Now, personally, if I'm going to get a smaller room without a balcony, this is where I go. For some reason, I just love to look through the porthole. It makes a huge difference to me just to be able to have that view of the ocean and of the skyline. So the square footage really isn't a big consideration when you're going from inside to ocean view. It's really that psychological boost of that natural light. The daylight can make the room feel bigger, calmer, and less likely to induce motion-related queasiness. Also, if anyone in your party gets claustrophobic easily, that window is worth way more than the math. Trust me, I speak from experience. So when do you want to pick an ocean view? If you're on a scenic route and you want to watch the water without paying the veranda balcony prices, if you prefer bright, naturally lit rooms for the kids napping during the day, if you're budget-minded but you still want that daylight and the view, the ocean view can be a big consideration, in particular for nausea and claustrophobia. Now, the ocean view windows are not going to open on Disney cruise ships, so you're not going to get the fresh air benefits of the balcony. Also, for families, the layout is going to be very similar to the inside stateroom. The storage and the flow are going to be kind of tight. There is room under the bed, though, for the suitcases, which is very handy. Another thing to consider here is occasionally an ocean view category can be in an odd location. Some of them can be actually quite a bit quieter or noisier depending on where they are compared to public spaces. So the price doesn't always reflect comfort. If you're really concerned about it, do a quick Google search on that cabin number. You can find out people's opinions on whether or not it's loud or not. Also, you can take a look at the deck plans. If there is a nightclub above it, it's going to be loud. If there's a deck above it, it's going to be loud. So if you really want to be sure that you have a nice quiet cabin number, you can do a quick search on that, see what people are saying about it. An ocean view stateroom is really perfect if you're still going to be on a budget, but it is important to have that view or the light. They do have curtains in there so you can separate the bed from the couch, and the couches will convert into a bed in case you need two places to sleep. A big consideration here are the beds. On Disney Cruise Line ships, they do not have twin beds. Most cruise lines will have two twin beds in the cabin. They can be separated if you do not want to share a bed, or they will push them together for people that do. On Disney cruise ships, they only have queen size beds. The second bed is going to be the couch conversion, and then a lot of them will also have a bunk bed up above them. One of the biggest surprises, I think, for most people is when you start digging into which cabin to choose, you're going to see very basic prices inside Oceanview, Verandah, and Concierge. First of all, look at those prices, because once in a while, an Oceanview or Verandah balcony will be cheaper than the inside cabin. That's because the category is full, and so the prices have gone up. So that's where you want to start. Once you get in there and start digging, though, you're going to see that they have variations. Standard, deluxe, family cabins. They're going to get more expensive as you go up from standard to deluxe to family. They're also going to get more expensive as you go up on the decks. The higher the deck, the higher the cost. And then typically whether you're going to be forward or aft is also going to make a difference. The closer you get to the ends of the ship, the more expensive those cabins are going to be. Also, part of that is because those balconies are going to get larger, especially at the very ends of the ship. So just a pro tip there, when you're doing your digging, make sure and look into all of that. So this is the sweet spot for many cruisers, the holy grail of the Disney cruise stateroom in our opinion, the Verandah staterooms. This is where you're going to get your own private balcony. Once you've cruised with the Verandah, especially on a trip over 5 days, it becomes very hard to go back. For some reason, listen, waking up and seeing the ocean before leaving the room feels like winning the lottery every morning. That and coffee in your pajamas on the balcony is truly unmatched. But if you're on a budget, waking up and dashing to Cove Cafe is a pretty close second, all things considered. Now, personally, on a 3-day trip, the veranda gets hard to justify because you really are paying for it in the morning. By the end of the day, I find myself out there much less. It's that early morning, free room service, coffee and fruit on the veranda that is just the epitome of luxury to me. Now, they do have the epitome of luxury on the cruise ships. That's Concierge. We'll get there. But for us, the veranda is the winner. These cabins have a lot of room in there. They're going to range between 270 and 300 square feet, depending on which ship you're on. Fun fact, the Dream Class ships actually have the largest regular verandas. And if you're traveling with a family, we really love to get connecting staterooms. Some of them even have balconies that you can connect as well. They've got a little slider there that you can ask your stateroom host to move back, and you can just have one big balcony for the family. We really loved that when we were on the Fantasy. That balcony is not just a few extra feet either. It's private outdoor space. That morning coffee, the fresh air after a day in the sun. You can actually see fireworks from your balcony if you're in the right spot. That changes the rhythm of the whole cruise. Now, where the veranda becomes essential is when you have really scenic itineraries or longer sailings where private time really matters. Also, if you're a couple who loves those private mornings or late night star watching, you really just want some quiet time to read, you really want to consider the balcony. If you're going to Alaska, the Mediterranean, Norwegian Fords, if you're going to do a transatlantic, these are all considerations for that balcony. It's going to be more expensive, but it's also going to be a huge game changer on your cruise. This is where the balcony really comes into play. And another pro tip here, if you are going to do a repositioning cruise like a transatlantic, sometimes you can get a great price on these. For Alaska though, you're going to see a huge price jump for Oceanview to balcony staterooms because Alaska is so much scenery. It's a consideration though because they also have really expensive port excursions. Some people would rather just spend the money on a balcony. They don't want to go spend all the time in the ports doing those real adventurous port excursions. They want to enjoy their balcony and the view and the wildlife. So it really comes down to your family, how many people are in there, what is most important for your enjoyment of your cruise. For many, the veranda is the sweet spot. It's special. It's going to give you that elevated luxury feel for your vacation, but it's not going to take you all the way up into the prices for the suites. And they do have 24-hour room service included with the cost of the Disney cruise. I highly recommend using your balcony for breakfast at least once. And honestly, we would get some fruit, coffee, and juice and start every morning on the balcony. Whether we were going to the regular breakfast or not, it's just a great way to start the day. Plus, if you have a larger family, 4 or 5 people, this is a big consideration as well. Most standard verandas are comfortably going to sleep up to 4 people. If you do happen to have 5 people, you really need to consider looking into the Deluxe Family veranda, or I really also would consider getting connecting rooms. Now, if you travel with kids, plan to live in your cabin, or you're gonna have 5 people traveling, then the Deluxe Family veranda is often the smartest upgrade. This is going to vary a little bit by ship. This is going to be your largest stateroom before you get into Concierge and Suites. Typically, they're going to be about 250 to 325 square feet, including the balcony. What makes these cabins feel different is floor space. There's actually a little bit of floor space. You can move around the stroller and the bed without tripping or hitting your shin. We've stayed in balcony cabins on multiple Disney cruise ships. We always get the basic balcony, and we typically do not get the Deluxe Family veranda, and I do have to be careful not to bump my shins while I'm in there. So this larger cabin can make a difference throughout your trip. You're going to have the split bathrooms in here. You're going to have a little bit more storage room. The biggest consideration here is for those that are going to have 5 people, because some of their deluxe family verandas actually have a Murphy bed. So you will have the queen bed, you'll have the couch bed, there's a bunk bed over the couch, and then there's a Murphy bed that they can pull down as well. You can get these with connecting staterooms as well, which gives a lot more space and privacy. Obviously, there is going to be more cost to consider with that situation. So for families with older kids, more room, more storage, and that split bathroom function really does change your cruising life, especially on those longer sailings. The daily comfort really can make a difference. And last but not least is Concierge Staterooms and Suites, the full service splurge. Concierge is going to get top billing for service and exclusivity, but it deserves nuance. It's luxury, not always the best value. So what do you get? Priority everything. Priority check-in, reservations, sometimes tender priority from getting from the ship to the port when you're at a tender port. There's a private lounge with complimentary snacks and drinks. They even have a cocktail hour. There's dedicated concierge staff who proactively help with reservations and logistics, and larger high-end suite finishes. They have little touches like a stocked fridge in the suite or a pillow menu. The rooms and the suites are lovely. They're very spacious, but you're paying heavily here for the service and the perks. For many families, a deluxe family veranda provides more actual usable living space for less money. Concierge is ideal for milestones, anniversaries, big celebrations, or for people who will use the lounge and concierge services regularly. Will you feel the difference? You'll feel pampered, yes, but ask yourself, will you use the extra perks enough to justify the cost? If your days are shore excursions and pool time, you might not. Concierge is spectacular. If you want to splurge and use the perks, it's not going to be the best value choice for every family, but it is going to be the epitome of Disney cruise luxury. That being said, the great thing about a Disney cruise is every single cabin is going to come with luxury, because every single cabin has a stateroom host that is going to attend to your stateroom twice a day. This is something that I never experienced until we went on Disney Cruise Line, and it truly does make a difference. Okay, so let's bring it all back together. If you're on a short getaway and you prioritize experiences over the room, if you're on a budget and you're going to be gone all day, pick an inside or an ocean view. Spend your budget elsewhere. If you want the light and the view without that balcony price tag, ocean view all the way. Choose midship to minimize motion and noise. If you're doing a scenic or a longer cruise, if private views are worth it, if you want that Disney cruise room without the suite prices, then you definitely want to make sure and get a balcony. If you've got the larger family or you really just want the space, booking requires strategy. You're going to need that deluxe family veranda or the connecting staterooms, the suites, so that you've got a living space and an extra bedroom. And if you're down for that VIP service, if you're really going for privacy and extra attention, Concierge Suites is the epitome. If you want to be able to have main dining in your stateroom, you're going to have to get a concierge suite. The biggest things to consider are always compare the cabin numbers on the deck plans, because two cabins in the same category can feel very different depending on location. And when comparing prices, look closely. I have been so surprised to find a balcony cheaper than an inside stateroom more times than I can count. And if noise is a big consideration, check passenger reviews or forums, because noise, HVAC quirks can happen in specific cabin numbers. You can find out which ones those are and avoid them. So the best cabin really depends on how you cruise. If you're off exploring from dawn to midnight, an inside stateroom is perfect. If you love quiet mornings, room service, and ocean views, a balcony is worth every penny. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Let us know in the comments below which one is your top choice and why. If you're trying to decide which Disney cruise ship to choose, go check out Is Bigger Really Better on Disney Cruise Ships? We've also got ranking every Disney cruise ship. And if you are trying to choose which cruise line, Disney Cruise or Royal Caribbean, I've done both. Go check out the truth on that. And if you love Disney cruising, make sure you're subscribed. We'll have plenty more coming at you soon. Thanks for being here. We'll see you real soon with some more Disneys.